Hello, wake up. It's the day after the night before. The excitement, of course, of Usain Bolt. The second Sunday of these Olympics was quite sensational, from seeing the first gold medal for over 100 years to the proof, in case we needed it, that Usain Bolt is still the man to beat in the 100 metres. We talk about that incredible night with our athletics commentator Ed Harry in just a moment. But first of all, here on Sport Today, very windy again here. Funnily enough, it's my favourite story of the day because it's been windy in Rio for as long as I can remember, which is about 2 weeks. Yet today they had to postpone the sailing because it was becalmed on the waters of the Atlantic. There you go. You can't bank on the weather. So what has happened so far today, this Monday? There are 17 medals to be won. Giles Goford reports on those that have already been decided.
It's fair to say Anita Wodacik rather liked her hammer throw. And she was right to jump in celebration. She created a new world record of 82 metres and 29 centimetres. Her winning margin was over 5.5 metres. There was a first Olympic gold medal for Bahrain, albeit from an athlete born in Kenya. Ruth Jebet won the women's steeplechase with the second fastest time ever recorded. The large crowd of the open water swimming were rewarded with a bronze medal for Brazil's Poliana Okimoto, but gold went to Sharon van Ruwendaal of the Netherlands, in what is one of the most gruelling events of the Games. The track cycling omnium can be rather gruelling too, and hard on the knees, as a few riders found out to their cost in the aptly named scratch race. Giles Goford, BBC News.
Giles Goford there wrapping up the action, the medals so far today. We had as I said, stupendous night on Sunday night. The action will continue here on Sunday at the Athletic Stadium, the Olympic Stadium where Bolt was competing. We've already had some excitement in there today in the steeplechase for women and the hammer. Joining us, our athletics commentator for the BBC World Service. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Chris.
Have you recovered from last night?
You've got no time, Chris. You've got to get back on the horse, haven't you? But it was fantastic, wasn't it? But
yeah, it was.
We've already seen great things again, and it's another fantastic evening coming up as well.
You've had a good morning because we almost had a world record in the 3,000 metre steeplechase. So walk us through that one, if you will.
For a teenager called Ruth Jebet, Kenyan-born, she competes for Bahrain. She's been the best thing in the steeplechase all year. One of only 2 women in history ever to go under 9 minutes, which is this tremendous benchmark in that particular event. She ran from the front. She beat the defending world champion by 7 seconds, something like 40 or 50 metres on the track. And she came very, very close to breaking the event's world record, which belongs to Gulnara Gulkina. She is, though, Kenyan-born, and she's one of many athletes, people will say, have Bahrain collected them. Well, she's been a Bahraini citizen since before winning the World Junior title 2 years ago. But there are others here on their team who were cleared to compete from August the 1st. And transfers of allegiance don't sit well with everybody, but it was a fantastic run, and she transformed her form all through the year into an Olympic gold, their first gold, Bahrain, in any Olympic sport ever.
And it was an impressive hammer, wasn't it, for Poland? No, were you expecting that?
Wodacik, who owned the world record already, Anita Wodacik, she'd already set it, so we know she's capable of breaking it, but she broke it again to win the gold, out in excess of 82 metres. And, yeah, a fantastic performance. We are getting spoilt by the number of world records we're seeing in that stadium. And morning finals, we all wondered about it, but the women's 10,000 metres on the opening day, then almost one in the steeplechase today, and then getting one in the hammer for Anita Wodacik, double world champion since winning silver in London. She's owned this event all the way through this Olympic cycle, and she now finally is the Olympic champion as well.
Were there people in there?
Not as many as last night. I don't think we'll ever see as many as we got for Bolt night. That's an issue. Of course it is. The cost of tickets and whether there is the level of interest. I know there's passionate support for any Brazilians, and if they want to boo somebody, as they booed you, Justin Gatlin, we've not seen that at the big championships before, but I think it's a different psyche here. It's a Rio crowd, and they'll do what they want, and they'll turn up to things that interest them.
I'll tell you what, there were empty seats at the dressage, but there was booing there as well, booing at the marks that were being given out. Quite incredible. Stay with us, Ed. Darya Klishina will be Russia's only competitor in track and field at the Rio Olympics after the long jumper was ruled eligible to compete by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. 25-year-old who was the European champion in 2014 had her appeal upheld after she was previously banned from competing by the IAAF. Earlier, we spoke to her lawyer about the hearing.
there were issues related to her clean urine that was handed in on her normal doping control that were still, apparently, according to the evidence we've been told, had evidence that they were still opened, and there was never any implication that she did anything wrong. But the idea was that even a clean athlete like her was still potentially part of the system to some extent. But what the panel viewed and looked at was the almost 90% of the time she was outside the system, and she was completely clean and subject to the same compliance as everyone else.
Hold on to your hats, Ed. It's getting a bit windy up here, isn't it? She doesn't compete for a while. I'll tell you somebody who does. David Rudisha, 800 metres final. Is that the key moment tonight on the track, would you say?
Yeah, just remember 4 years ago, he broke his own world record to win the Olympic gold medal. You're not supposed to be able to break an 800 metres world record unless you're in a paced race with a rabbit to chase around that first lap. He's had a difficult time in the 4 years since London. 2013 and 14, injury ravaged, a serious knee injury, perhaps even a career-threatening knee injury, but he's come back, and in his semi-final, at his best, he leads from the gun. He runs the sprint finish out of the legs of those who like to wait on the shoulder, and he did that beautifully in the semi-final. I wrote in my notes, Chris, and double underlined it, easy. He looks right back to his best.
I can see, Ed's got a large stack of notes just behind him by his feet here. We'll show you, it's about that deep.
Yeah,
he does his research. No, they won't. They're the heaviest thing out here. What else to look forward to tonight?
Alison Felix, already a great Olympic champion, won 3 medals in London in the 200 and both relays. Didn't qualify for the 200 this time. The American trials are brutal. She did qualify for the 400. That final is tonight. She's the defending world champion in that event. But there's a young woman from Bahamas called Shawnee Miller. And Miller's come right through, as Bolt did, through the ranks, winning World Youth and World Junior titles, then a World Silver at the Seniors last year behind Felix. That will be the duel in that race, Miller against Felix.
Ed Harry is clinging on for dear life. Thanks very much, Ed. Don't go away. We're going to talk to you in the second half of Sport Day, if you're still here. Let's get away from Rio just for a minute and give you some other sports news, including a major football transfer, an international retirement and 2 Test cricket centuries. Here's Sanjeev Shetty.
The story of day 3 in Colombo was that Australia were on top with centuries from Shaun Marsh and captain Steve Smith. That was until the Sri Lankan spinner Rangana Herath took over to leave the 3rd Test well poised with the tourists, ending the day with a lead of just 2 runs. Australia is still the top-ranked team in cricket, a position that Germany occupied in football when Lukas Podolski played for them. The 31-year-old, an unused sub when the Germans won the World Cup in 2014, is saying goodbye to the international game after 12 years, 129 appearances and 48 goals. It's a different kind of farewell for Yannick Bolasie. The DR Congo international is leaving Crystal Palace for fellow Premier League side Everton. The winger will cost his new team just over $32 million. It was a case of welcome back for Alvaro Morata. The Spanish international is a Real Madrid player once again after a successful 2 years at Italian side Juventus. It's cost the European champions a cool $33.5 million to bring him back, a small price to pay to stop him scoring against them, as he did in a Champions League semi-final a year ago. Sanjeev Shetty, BBC News.
OK, stay with us on Sport Today. Still to come, Joseph Schooling is back in Singapore after his gold medal swim in Rio.
For we are young and free. With glowing hearts we sing the round to Kuala You can be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the king, come begging on your chest. You can be the hero, you can get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke. You can throw your hands up, you can be the cloud. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause it's gonna be a day standing in the Hall of Fame.
This season, we've got the Premier League covered, with all the action before, during and after the game. Sport Today tackles the breaking news, and for pre-game analysis, Football Focus is here every weekend talking to the big names.
What did you know about Liverpool as a young man?
It depends on what is a young man.
You can go online for the latest news, gossip and live coverage, and download the BBC Sport app for score and news alerts on your favourite team. Whatever happens in the league this year, we have it covered.
Hello, welcome back to Sport Today. You are live at the Olympic Park in Rio. This is the BBC World News. You're watching with me, Chris Mitchell. Now, with the action in the Olympic swimming events having turned to the open water and synchronised today, let's take a look back. Pause for breath. Take a look back and think about Michael Phelps. He may have taken a lot of the headlines, but golden memories were created by many swimmers from Singapore, Denmark, Hungary, and let's not forget Sweden's Sarah Sjöström, who won gold, silver and bronze. She's been talking to us. She's been telling us about her Fab 5 moments from Rio 2016.
My name is Sarah Sjöström. I'm a swimmer from Sweden and the Olympic champion in the 100-meter butterfly. These are my top moments from the Olympic Games. Number 5 is Michael Phelps. I don't even need to say more than that. He is swimming. It's just crazy to see him win all the gold medals. Number 4 is Katinka Hosso. I'm really happy for her because I've seen that she's been working very hard. She's always swimming a lot of events when she goes to the international competitions all over the world. And now when she finally wins her gold medals, it's amazing to see. Free is Anthony Irvine, 50 freestyle. I was almost crying when he won. It's just amazing and so inspiring to see that he can win again after 16 years. It's just incredible. Number 2 must be Pernille Blom's 50 freestyle. That's just the biggest surprise ever in sport. She's amazing. I think, yeah, it's just amazing to see how much she improved this year and just during the Olympic Games. Yeah, she's just amazing. Number 1 moment is of course my own 100-meter butterfly when I won the gold medal. I did the race of my life in the Olympic final in the 100 fly, and it was just a dream coming true for me, and it was a lot of pressure for me coming into the game. So yeah, it's a big dream, and I couldn't be happier with that gold medal.
Welcome back to the programme. I tell you what, I've just been taking some video there of the wind up here on our TV point. Check it out. I've put it on our Twitter feed at ChrisMBBC Sport. And also, check out the BBC Sport app. There is so much going on at this Olympic Games. It's easy to miss stuff. If you want to keep fully up to date, check out the BBC Sport app and, of course, our website. Now, one moment not in Sarah's top 5 there was one that will live long in the memory, especially in Asia. Joseph Schooling's golden swim in the 100 metres butterfly final. Of course, remember, it denied Michael Phelps another gold medal. Schooling is now back home in Singapore, and of course, he received a hero's welcome. OK, let's return to the athletics, and we're going to actually talk Paralympics for a moment, actually. As many as 50 countries may have to cancel plans to compete at the forthcoming Paralympics here in Rio because $9 million worth of crucial travel grants haven't been paid. What is going on? Ed Harry, as you can see, is back with us. What is going on?
Well, people might be surprised that it is the local organisers' responsibility to provide these grants to allow some of the smaller Paralympic nations to travel here, Chris. This $9 million is 2.5 weeks overdue. It was supposed to be paid to the IPC, who run the Paralympic Games. And without it, the IPC believe a lot of those smaller nations might not be able to come. The question is whether Rio 2016 still has the money after fixing things like the diving pool and other operational issues here. Putting it into context, there were 164 competing nations at the London Paralympics. Take out 50, you've reduced it by almost a third. And this is about trying to grow the sport. And you can't grow the sport and change the way disability itself is perceived in some of these, particularly developing countries, if they can't bring their athletes to a Paralympic Games.
OK, and we also had, this concerns the Paralympics as well, of course, Russia banned by Sir Philip Craven, last week, a shock announcement, if you like, here in Rio. We've now heard that Russia will appeal that, is that correct?
Yeah, we fully expected that they would go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but I'll remind you what Sir Philip Craven, the IPC president, said here 8 days ago. He said he was personally disgusted by the medals over morals approach of the Russian government and the harm it had done to Paralympic sport. Now, they strongly refuted everything that he said in that news conference here. They will go to CAS, they will try to get their athletes here. Only China won more medals than them in London. But look, the IAAF's case against Russia's track and field athletes for the Olympics, that was upheld by CAS. And one thing I understood from the IPC presser last week was that working with Richard McLaren, who compiled the WADA report, one thing the IPC believe they have got is evidence, and they will present their evidence. Russia have taken their time to find the right lawyers to present theirs, and they still have time for this appeal to be heard before the Paralympics start on the 7th of September.
Just brief notes from the parish. We're hearing worrying news about ticket sales as well, aren't we, for the Paralympics? That tickets haven't been sold. And you have to imagine if they can't sell tickets for the Olympics and some star names, what's it going to be like for the Paralympics?
Opening morning of the athletics here, I took a few pictures, I put them on social media. Scott Reardon, a very, very good Australian Paralympian, tweeted me straight back and said, hey, Ed, well, what about us? If it's like that for the Olympics, what's it going to be like for the Paralympics? Beijing and London was sold out for the Paras. We are certainly not going to see that here in Rio.
OK, Ed, thank you very much indeed. You get yourself the David Rudisha. Maybe you could fly there. Open your arms and take off. It's the quickest way to travel in Rio right now. See you for Sport Today at the same time tomorrow. Bye for now.